Thank you for taking a break in your day and pausing and joining me in this practice of connecting more deeply to ourselves. This is especially helpful if what you've been doing in your day is promoting anxiety and fear. If that's the case, please stay and practice with me now. During this practice, if you find that your level of anxiety or fear or stress or tension in the body or strain is increasing, stop what you're doing and slow down and come back to what your inner guide is telling you works best. For me, this is not a practice of getting better at particular postures or movements. It's a practice of remembering this connection to something deeper. In today's practice, we'll bring focus to the hips and the muscles around the hips. This is an area that, for many people, for me included, is an area that can feel weak and tight. And so our practice will be to bring loving kindness in our movements to strengthen and to stretch those areas. We will hopefully, as a result of that, be releasing tension in those areas and promoting ease. We'll start on the back. So for today's practice, I would suggest using a yoga mat, and you may also want to have a blanket to sit on, especially a bit later in the practice. And we'll also be using a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, you could look around the house for perhaps a box that would be about this size, 1 or 2 boxes. And the other prop that would be helpful is a strap. Again, if you don't have a yoga strap, you could use a belt or a scarf. I'll put the props aside for now and lie on your back on the mat and adjust the body so that it's comfortable. If you like, you can keep the knees bent. This is going to be relaxing the hip flexors, the psoas, and promoting a sense of grounding down through the hips and the back of the pelvis. And we'll start here with a 3-part yogic breath. So this breath will be breathing in for 3 counts and breathing out for 3 counts. And as you're doing this, we'll start in a moment, but as you're doing this, feel or visualize the breath moving from the low belly to the middle part of the torso and then to the chest. So that's the 3 parts. And when you exhale, you can either exhale imagining the 3 parts deflating, or you can simply exhale to the count of 3 and feel your grounding. So let's try that together. Relax the shoulders, relax the hips. Feel your grounding down through the back body. Relax the belly completely. You can close your eyes if you wish, or soften your gaze. And let's take a breath in, feeling low belly, in, feeling mid-torso, in, feeling chest, exhale, 2, 3. Go at your own pace, breathe in, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3. Fill in low belly, mid-torso, chest. Exhale, 2, 3. Let's do a couple more rounds. Breathing in to a count of 3. Breathing out to a count of 3. Relax and come back to a natural breath. And separate the feet a little wider apart, keep the knees bent. And you can position the hands differently if you wish. You can keep them down by your sides, or you can bring the hands out from your shoulders or over the head. Whatever feels interesting as a stretch to the shoulders, still keeping them relaxed and grounded. Breathe in with the knees up, and exhale, let's bring the knees to the right. Breathe in, and we'll come up. Exhale, the knees to the left. As you continue, find the rhythm of breath that feels the best, the pacing of breath that feels the best without any strain. As you continue to move, allow the hips and pelvis to move also. If you find that you're experiencing any tightness or strain, do a smaller range of movement. Let's do one more to complete each side. And when you're complete, we'll bring the knees back up and walk the feet to about hip distance apart. Now let's walk the feet a little bit closer together. And arrange the hands again in a way that keeps the shoulders feeling grounded and comfortable. As you breathe in, let's do it for the count of 3 and open the knees wider apart. And as you exhale, do it to a count of 3, bringing the knees closer together. As you continue to do this movement, let's add the feeling or the visualization of the 3-part yogic breath. Breathing in to low belly, mid-torso, chest, and exhaling to a count of 3. Let's do a couple more. When you're complete, bring one knee in towards your chest, and then let's bring the other knee as well. Again, arrange the hands and the knees in a position that feels like a good stretch without straining any part. And begin to move in a way that feels pleasurable to the body, keeping the movement small. If you feel a lot of tightness and tension in this area around the hips, or you can increase the range of movement, maybe adding bigger movements for the knees, maybe circling. If you're not using your hands, focus on creating some stability in the core. Experiment with what your legs would like to do. This is all warming up, so keeping the movements in the realm of warming up, feeling good. We'll take another breath in and out. And then place place the feet on the mat with the knees bent. Roll over to one side and come onto your hands and knees. Now, if being on your hands and knees does not feel comfortable today for you, come back to your back and continue with those movements of allowing movement through the hips, moving the knees or legs around in a way that's comfortable. In fact, if there's any part of this practice that becomes less than comfortable for you, that's a good position to come back to on your back. So, coming on to hands and knees, we'll start with knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders, and I'll turn sideways so you can see the spine. We'll start with cat pose, where we're lifting the belly up, lifting the back body up, relax the neck. As you breathe in, let's lift chest and tailbone, draw shoulders back, exhale into cat pose. Breathe in into cow, and exhale into cat. Let's incorporate movement with the hips. So trust the intuition of the body to begin to move the hips in any position, any way that you'd like. You could start with side to side. Again, you could be incorporating cat-cow here, or you could just have a more neutral spine. Another idea for the hips is drawing circles with the hips, drawing the hips to the side, to the back, to the other side, and forward. You can do that. Maybe changing the direction of the circle. Breathing. Breathing slowly, easily will allow the body's parasympathetic nervous system to kick in so that we are releasing this fight or flight tendency. If you'd like, a couple other options for bringing some energy into the hips. If you'd like, you can lift one knee and circle it once or twice in each direction. You can do that on the other side, of course. Another idea would be to come to downward facing dog and do something similar. You could lift one leg, bend the knee, and draw circles. Again, doing that on the other side, the other leg as well. We'll just take a few more breaths here, completing whatever movement for the hips feels the best, still in the realm of warming up. And then let's come into either downward facing dog or hands and knees. Take a breath in and out, and then transition to come onto your feet, and we'll come into a standing forward fold. So planting the feet under the hips, hinge at the hips, and create length in the spine. So you may want to have a half forward fold, drawing up into the abdomen for support, bending the knees for some support, especially if hamstrings feel tight today, or you could go deeper if that feels as good. So from wherever you are, take one more breath in and out, relax the shoulders. And then breathe in and let's straighten, come up to standing, coming to mountain pose. Feet planted and grounded. Relax the shoulders back and down. And we'll use one of your blocks now. Bring the block in between your thighs, above the knees, and gently squeeze the block with your inner thighs. This will help to activate not only the inner thighs, but the outer muscles of the hips, these abductor muscles, stabilizing the hips, strengthening. So, From this position, relax the shoulders up and back and down, and either keep your hands by the hips, or you may want to bring them behind your hips. Again, your shoulders will tell you what feels the best. Breathe in here, lengthen as you press down through the feet and squeeze the block. As you exhale, bend your knees into chair pose and bring the hands, the arms forward. Let's do that a few more times. Breathe in, straighten the legs. You could bring the hips a little bit forward as you squeeze. Exhale, send the hips back, squeezing the block. Breathe in, straighten, and exhale, bend. Let's do a couple more. Move with your breath. After this exhale, straighten the legs as you bring the arms forward and up. And exhale, let's stretch over to the right side, keeping your grounding and squeezing the block. Breathe in to straighten and exhale over to the left. Let's do one more on each side. Breathe in, squeeze the block. Exhale over to the right. Breathe in, squeeze the block. And exhale to the left. Breathe in and lengthen upwards, and exhale, hinge forward. As you breathe in, look forward, come into your half fold, draw the shoulders back, away from the ears. Exhale, either stay here or fold more deeply. Breathe in, let's reach all the way up, lift the chest and straighten the torso. And exhale, bring palms to heart center. Let's release the block here. And we'll step the feet wider apart, face the long edge of your mat. And we'll bring the feet wider apart. Notice how it feels to your hips. So this is a practice of compassion and gentle and kindness. So practice that here and see how short, how wide, or how long your stance wants to be today. And then let's turn the right foot to the short edge of your mat, and we'll bend the right knee to come into Warrior Two. Again, adjust here so that the hips stay happy. You can bring the pelvis, more or less both sides of the pelvis, into neutral. But again, adjust. If a small adjustment makes the hips happier, do that. Lengthening the torso so that the shoulders are over the hips. Let's bring the arms out from the shoulders. Head can point in whatever way feels the best to your neck. Let's start with the movement from Warrior Two. We're going to bring the hands down and turn the palms up, and we're going to come back to that three-part yogic breath as we slowly straighten and bend the knee, the right knee. So let's see how that, we're going to be lifting the arms as well. So take a breath in to a count of 3, and then exhale, turn the palms down to a count of 3. Continue, low belly, mid-torso, chest, exhale all the way down. Let's do a couple more. Trust the pacing of your own breath. No need to go faster or slower than what feels good to you today. And then let's bring hands to the hips. And we'll inhale, straighten the right leg. See if you can lengthen the torso. And exhale, bend the right knee. This time we're going to just lean over towards the right thigh. This is like a preparation for side angle. So keep the shoulders stacked. We'll breathe in and straighten and exhale into this side angle-like position. Let's do that a couple more times. Breathe in, shoulders back as you straighten, and exhale to the side. This time, as you exhale, let's stay here. You can leave your hands right where they are, or you may want to bring your right elbow or forearm to the thigh or behind the waist, or you may want to bring your left arm over the ear, or any position. Take one more breath in and out. As you breathe in, straighten the leg, lift the torso, bring the arms down. Then we'll swivel the right foot to point to the long edge of your mat, and then point the left foot to the short end of your mat, and bend the left knee. It is quite possible that the hips feel differently from the right side to the left side, so adjust as needed, shortening or lengthening the stance, arranging the feet, so that the hips feel comfortable enough to be the stability that we're asking in this pose. Arrange the shoulders over the hips. Bring the arms out from the shoulders. Turn the head in whatever position works best for your neck today. And let yourself breathe as you feel the stability of hips supporting your foundation of grounding. And now lower the arms, we'll turn the palms up, and we're coming back to the three-part yogic breath. As you breathe in, straighten the left knee as you bring the arms up to a count of 3. And exhale to a count of 3 as you bend your knee and lower the arms. See if it can all be coordinated with the breath. Breathing in, low belly, mid-torso, chest, and exhale to a count of 3. Let's do a couple more. We'll place the hands on the hips, relax the shoulders, relax the neck. Take a breath in, let's straighten the left knee. As you exhale, bend the knee and lean towards the left thigh. We're keeping the torso, both sides of the torso lengthening. Shoulders back, shoulders stacking, so we're not drawing the right shoulder forward. Let's do that as a flow. As you breathe in, straighten, shoulders relax back. Exhale, open the chest as you lean to the left. Move with the breath. On this exhale, pause here, connect with your core, connect with that stable center, and position the hands in whatever way works here. Maybe left hand or forearm on the thigh, right hand can be behind the waist or over the ear, whatever works for you. Take one more breath in, filling up. Exhale completely. Breathe in as you lift up, straighten the left leg, bring the arms down. Let's point the toes now towards the long edge of your mat, both feet. And we'll start with the toes actually pointing to the corners of the mat. And let's have one of your blocks handy. We're placing the block in between the hands, long-wise, and bend your knees. This is the time to refine the position so it works for your knees, ankles, and hips, while keeping the shoulders relaxing back, the chest lifting. So, arranging, you can shorten your stance or lengthen, widen it. And we'll bring the block out in front. Take a breath in and straighten the legs, and exhale, bend the knees and bring the block downwards. Let's breathe in and straighten, and exhale, bend. Continuing here, one other option as you breathe in is you could bring the block all the way up, and exhale, bring the block down. Another option is you could bend the knees so that the block touches the mat, or keep it higher. Let's take one more breath in and out. And then as you breathe in, we'll straighten the legs, bring the block back to your torso, and let's point the feet now to the long edge. You may want to shorten the stance just to see how the hips feel. We're going to do a similar movement, it's kind of like a wider legged chair pose, and we'll continue to work with the block. So, bringing the block out in front, take a breath in, exhale, bend the knees, keep the chest somewhat lifted. Breathe in, bring the hips forward, exhale, send the hips back. If you wish, you can inhale and bring the arms all the way up if it works for your shoulders to do so, and exhale, bring the block down. Let's do one more. Breathing in and out. As you're hovering, see if you can position the block in a way that allows your hands to either rest on the block or fingertips on the block, or bring your hands to the front of your thighs. And we'll take a breath in here and find length in the spine, keeping chest somewhat lifted. And as you exhale, let's bend your right knee and straighten the left. So if you're using the block, you can have your hands on the block as you inhale, and exhale, straighten the right knee now. So home is both knees bent, exhale, bending just one knee, straightening the other. Breathing in, bend, exhale, straighten right, bend left. Breathe in, bend both. Exhale, let's bend the right knee and pause here. You can either keep both hands on the right knee or bring both hands to the block, or one with the right hand to the thigh or the hip. See if you can add a twist here. We're going to turn the chest towards the right. Take one more breath in and out. Breathe in, bend both knees, bring the hands either to thighs or your block. And then exhale, bend the left knee, straighten right. Turn the chest towards the left. Hands can be in whatever position you'd like. Take another breath in and out. Breathe in, bend both knees, and you could either pause here and straighten and bend your knees. Hands could be on the hips or the thighs or your block, or you could remove the block off to one side and bring the hands lower down to the floor. Feel free to add any movement here, swaying or adding movement for your hands on the elbows, or any position, any stretch that feels the best to your body. Give yourself another breath in and out. Come back to where hands are on your thighs with your knees bent, shoulders are drawing back. And then inhale, straighten the legs, and come back to standing. Let's walk the feet together. Turn towards the front of your mat, and we'll work with a balance pose. This one is a variation of tree pose. And so tree pose has the benefit of strengthening the legs, the hips, and also providing this stretching for the hips. So we'll start with the right foot on the mat, or you could come off of your mat or be at a wall for extra support and safety. So press down through the right foot and lift the left heel. Relax the shoulders back and down. And take a breath in, and we'll bring the left knee out. Take a moment and see how you can refine this. So oftentimes, especially if these outer hip muscles are weak, we may just lean into them. See if you can actively draw the right outer hip muscles in towards center. You might feel more stable down through your right leg as well. So we'll breathe in with the left knee out. Exhale the knee forward. You can continue in that way, working with this outer right hip, adding some mobility to the left hip. And if you'd like to add the balance, you can pick up the left foot either a little bit or more, keeping the knee more or less at the level of the hip. We'll breathe in and bring the knee out and exhale forward. Let's do a couple more. Drawing the right knee, the right hip, the outer hip in. Breathe in as you place the foot down and relax. Maybe rock on the feet just to promote a sense of grounding and ease. We'll try this on the other side. Place the left foot down firmly. Remember not to lock the knee. And we'll pick up the right heel. Create a sense of length through the torso and ease through the neck and shoulders. Notice if you're leaning into the left hip, actively draw the outer left hip in. And feel that strength from the hip down into the left foot. Breathe in and bring the right knee out, adding this stretch for the right hip, and exhale the knee forward. If you wish, you can add the balance, picking up the right foot a little or a lot, maybe the knee at hip height. Breathe in, the knee out, and exhale forward. Inhale, place the right foot down. Again, create ease in the body, maybe rocking on the feet, or maybe just adding a little shake to the body to release any tension. Good. Let's now come to the front of your mat. We'll bring palms together at heart center as a reminder of your connection to something deeper inside. Feel your grounding. Allow any surface tension on the body to release. We'll move gently with the breath onto hands and knees, or downward facing dog, or plank pose, or any resting pose that you wish. So, connect with the breath. With your next breath in, lift arms out and up. Exhale, use your core muscles as you hinge forward into your foundation of stability. Breathe in and look forward, come into a half fold, lengthen. As you exhale, bend the knees, bring your hands down to the mat, and step back. This is where you can come to hands and knees if you wish. You may want to add a little movement like cat-cow. You could be in downward facing dog. Or you may want to be in plank pose here, either on hands or forearms. Take a moment and breathe. Let's come to the belly. Gently lower the knees if they're lifted. Lower your forearms to the mat and stretch the knees back until you're on your belly. From this position, let's start in crocodile pose, where you're stacking the palms and either placing your chin on top of your palms or your forehead. See what feels better to your body. Arrange the pelvis and hips in a way that has them feel ease. If you feel any stress here, adjust. It's intended to be a resting pose, a comfortable pose. You're welcome to stay in this resting pose. As an option, we will bend the knees to bring the feet up and take a moment to simply rotate the ankles. Still breathing down into your grounding. Reverse the circle. And relax the ankles now, and let's walk the knees until they're a little wider than hip distance apart, and cross at the ankles, and then bring the ankles wide. Cross the other ankle in front, and then wide. And then do this with as little effort, as little tension in the body as possible. Just let the movement from the legs happen by itself almost. Experiment with some different movement here with the lower legs. The legs could move in the same direction from side to side. The lower legs could draw circles, again, moving in whatever way is the easiest. And as you move the low legs, allow any natural movement of the hips and pelvis. We'll just take one more breath in and out. And then let the feet come down. We'll walk the legs a little closer apart and come up to hands and knees just for a moment. This will be optional. We're going to move into a cobra variation, and one option is to use a block when doing so to accentuate the strengthening of the hips in this pose. So if you wish, you can use your hands to come up and position your block in between your legs, just above the knees. And I would use the narrow side. because we still want the knees to be in line with the hips. So this could be the biggest challenge of the pose, is to come down to forearms, slide the knees back in a way that keeps the block more or less in place. If this already seems like too much trouble, that's your inner guide saying to just forget this little piece. We're all going to be doing cobra either way. So one option is to not do cobra and use the block and come back to crocodile pose and feel the squeeze of the outer thighs and hips squeezing in towards your block. If that does not feel good, you might be squeezing too hard. Do less, just to get a little kiss of the block with your legs. You can bring your hands back if you wish and rest the head down. Just bring the front of the shoulders away from the mat. This will be activating the shoulders. To move into a version of cobra, keeping it low, let's lift the chest and squeeze the block, drawing the shoulders away from the mat and away from your ears. Can you breathe here? If not, lower down and breathe. We'll take a few more breath cycles, whether you stay in this position or come back to crocodile, that resting pose. Take another inhale. As you exhale, lower the chest and head and come back to crocodile pose. Relax your thighs and hips, and if you wish, you could go ahead and bring the block out and off the mat. You could pause here. Another option would be to walk the feet wider apart again, bend the knees, and come back to this dance for the lower legs, where you're crossing at the ankles or adding any movement that promotes a sense of ease and fluidity for the hips. Another breath cycle. And place the feet down, walk the feet back to about hip distance apart, bring hands under the shoulders. You can come into a resting pose such as downward facing dog or child's pose, or you might want to do one more prone back bend. Cobra, upward facing dog, Sphinx pose, any version of cobra. Another breath in, and as you exhale, let's come onto hands and knees. Either coming back to moving the hips as we did at the beginning of the practice, or circling the hips, or from downward facing dog, circling the hips, or from hands and knees, doing a leg lift, moving the knee. We'll take a few more breath cycles, coming back to gently moving the hips in a way that feels good. Stay on hands and knees or downward facing dog. Take a breath in. As you exhale, let's plant the feet under the hips. Hinge at the hips, either in a half fold or a deeper fold. As you breathe in, slowly lift up. And exhale, bring palms to heart center. Good. We'll take one more breath in and out, and then we're going to come into a seated position. Breathe in and out. You can use your breath to create a flow down into the seated position, or simply lower down to one knee and the other and find a seat. We'll pause here while you move through the transition of your choice. Come into your seated position. The props that will be helpful here would be a folded blanket, where you'll sit on the edge of this folded blanket. A couple other props would be to bring your blocks or whatever you're substituting for blocks, and a strap or belt or scarf. So let's start. We're going to do some gentle, underline in your mind, underline gentle, stretches for the hips. So again, hips can be tight and we don't want to force anything. If you feel any strain or pain in the hips in whatever we're doing, or your knees, that's your inner guide telling you to back off for now and do something a little more gentle. So we'll start with the feet, the soles of the feet together in bound angle. Sit tall. If you've noticed that there's a sense of strain in the knees, a few ideas. One would be to place blocks on any height under your thighs until you feel the legs and hips able to relax in this pose. To be able to relax into the stretch will promote what we're up to with a gentle stretch. If you're signaling the body that there's some sense of danger, it's going to quite naturally and wisely contract and resist the stretch. So being gentle is a good practice. Another idea would be to experiment with drawing the feet either closer together, closer in towards your pelvis, or further away. So see which of these positions, for now, feels the best to your hips. And feel free to adjust if at any time it becomes less than comfortable for the hips. So we're going to practice, when we're doing these stretches, we're going to practice this three-part yogic breath. This breath can promote a sense of calm. So do not strain or stress while doing this. If it becomes more than you want to focus on, just release and relax into a natural, easy breath. If you're not feeling much stretch in the hips, you may experiment with just leaning forward, still keeping the spine relaxed into a neutral position. So, pausing here. Take a breath in to a count of 3, feeling the breath lifting from low to middle to high. And then exhale, relax into the stretch to a count of 3. Continue. Let's do one more breath in, and as you do your inhale, bring the torso back to neutral, and we'll work with the right hip first. We'll do a series of stretches just for the right hip, and then we'll come back to the left hip and do that same series of stretches. So for the right hip, let's keep the leg where it is for now, with the knee bent and out to the side. And for your left leg, notice the angle of your left thigh and straighten the left leg in that same angle. And now, center over the hips again. And if you're not feeling much stretch here, you could again attempt to move the knee in a way, or we're leaning forward, flexing at the hips so that it might add a sensation. If knee wants propping or wants to be in a different position, do that. So, finding the position for now. Let's come back to the three-part breath. Breathing in, breath low, middle, high. Exhale, 2, 3. Let's do that a couple more times. Breathing in, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Once more. Now, as you inhale, if you've been leaning forward, let's bring the torso back to neutral and slide the left foot forward and bring your right knee up and out to the side. So, finding a movement that feels good to the hip as a way of bringing some ease. So you could stay here if this feels like it is easy. Stay. If you would like a little more, let's see how it would feel to bring your left hand to the sole of your right foot and support a movement like this. We're bringing ease to the hips, so if it doesn't feel like ease anymore, come back to this one. If you don't feel much of anything happening in your hip, you may want to bring the sole of the right foot into your elbow and the knee into the right elbow and rock slightly here, sitting tall. Again, if there's any complaint happening in the body, it's your signal to do less. So, another inhale. As you exhale, let's place the foot down, keeping the knee bent. Cross the right foot over the left. Slide the left heel in a little more towards center. And use your hands to draw the right knee towards you. Feeling a stretch in the outer hip and leg, right leg. If this does not feel good to your knee or any other part, uncross. So, we're adding a twist here, so we'll twist to the right, placing the hand down. Breathe in and lengthen the spine. As you exhale, we'll turn towards the right, keeping the spine long. Use your left hand to support drawing the knee towards you. If you want to put elbow in front, feel free to do that. Try to continue the practice of kindness and gentleness in whatever you're choosing. Let's do one 3-part yogic breath here. Relax the belly. As you breathe in, take the breath low, middle, and high, and exhale completely. Breathe in and look to the front of the mat and uncross at the knee. And now move the knee off to one side, off to the right side. Again, propping the knee if you wish with a block, or bringing the foot further down the left leg or further up, whatever feels the best to your right knee. take your strap. We'll unfurl the strap, bend your left knee, and place the strap around the ball of your foot, and straighten the leg again. And strap can go in each hand or both ends of the strap in your right hand, whatever feels the most comfortable here. Sit as tall as you can. This may feel adequate in terms of what's happening in the body in terms of a stretch. If you're feeling any strain under the left knee, you may want to bend it slightly and place a block there as well. You may stay here or hinging forward. See if that creates a pleasing sensation to the hip. If you're getting too much sensation, sense of strain in the right knee, lift up or stay with the shoulders over the hips. We're going to take 3 breath cycles using the 3-part yogic breath. Breathing in to your count of 3. Out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3. Once more. As you breathe in, let's lift the chest, bringing the torso to neutral. Bend your left knee, release the strap. Bring the strap off to the side where you can have access to it when we lie down. So we'll bring both feet to the mat. Set your blocks off the side of the mat. Set your blanket off to the side of your mat for now. And just take the strap and we'll come onto the back and work with the right leg. So we continue to work with the right hip and leg. So we will take your strap, bring your right knee in toward your chest to be able to loop the strap around the ball of your right foot. Arrange your hands to where the shoulders can relax downward and position your hands on the strap in a way that's comfortable. In this series of stretches, you have an option to keep the left foot on the mat. That might feel very grounding and relaxing to the hip flexors. Or if you would like a more active foundation, if it feels okay to the hip flexors, you can stretch the left leg flat on the mat and have the left toes pointing up and create a sense of active energy in your left leg. So here, gazing at your right foot, if this does not feel comfortable, bend your knee and experiment with drawing the right thigh toward you, giving a stretch for the hip extensors, the hamstrings. So whether the leg is straight or bent, it's the same gentle movement. Give another breath cycle using a 3-part yogic breath. Breathing in to a count of 3 and out to a count of 3. Now place both ends of the strap in your right hand. And especially if your left leg is flat on the mat, keep your left hand over the left hip bone to encourage the hip to stay grounded. If your foot is on the mat, left foot is on the mat with the knee bent, you can experiment with letting the left knee go wide as we take the right leg wide. So give yourself a breath in. As you exhale, bring your right leg out to the side, out to the right. And pause here. If you don't feel grounded enough, if your leg is flat, bend the knee and have the knee being a counterweight. If you feel the left hip coming up and you have your leg all the way on the mat, this is not doing as much strengthening as could be possible for your hips and pelvis and core muscles. So we're planting this left hip, letting the pelvis be equally grounded on both sides, activating this left hip as we also work with the right hip. Let's take one more breath cycle using the 3-part yogic breath. Breathe in and out. As you breathe in, slowly guide your right foot up. Bend your right knee, release the strap. You can place the strap off the mat for now. Bend your left knee if it's not already bent, and we'll cross the right ankle over the left knee. And take a moment to add some ease to your hip, your right hip. You may want to wag the knee towards you and away, or add a little rocking for the pelvis. Or if you're not feeling much sensation, you can draw the left knee towards you, adding rocking here if you'd like. Whatever you're up to in this stretch or movement, let it be promoting ease. Breathe in and release the breath. Bring both feet down to the mat and roll onto one side. Come back into a seated position. Gather your props. Gather your strap, your folded blanket. You can sit on the edge of the folded blanket. I like to do this because it gives more mobility through the hips, through the pelvis, so that you have more ease in the low back, more ease at creating a neutral spine. You could also gather your blocks here, and we'll bring the soles of the feet together once more in bound angle. See what you'd like to do with propping or not. One side might want, one side might enjoy it, or neither. Feet could be closer together, closer towards your pelvis or further away. Relax the shoulders and neck. If you're not feeling much sensation, lean in. Once you're settled in the position that feels sustainable, come back to the 3-part yogic breath. Breathing in, filling up low belly, mid-torso, chest, and exhale, release completely. Let's do that a couple more times. On your next inhale, let's lift the torso back to where shoulders are over the hips. This time, in this sequence, we're going to be working with the left hip. So keep the left knee and leg positioned as it is, and notice the angle of your right thigh. We'll stretch the leg out in that same angle, straightening the right leg. If this creates any desire to adjust, do so, adding or removing props. Lengthen torso, relax the shoulders back and down. If you're not feeling much sensation, lean the chest forward, hinging at the hips. Once you're settled, let's start with 3 breath cycles using the 3-part yogic breath. And you can start at any time. When you're complete, gently bring the torso back to neutral. We'll slide the right foot forward and bring the left foot to the mat with the knee bent. Let's see if we can create ease by moving the left knee out and up in a gentle way. If you're not feeling much sensation here, you could experiment with picking up your left foot with your right hand and rocking the hip in that way. Or if you wish, you could bring your left foot into the right elbow, the knee into the left elbow, and rock from that position. If knee is complaining, practice your loving kindness towards self and do something more gentle. Let's breathe in and out. Settle the left foot on the mat if it was lifted, and then we'll cross the left foot over the right leg. Let's bring the right heel towards center line a little bit. And use your hands to help guide the left knee towards you until you feel sensation in the outer left hip and thigh. If this does not feel good, of course, come back. This is our foundation for twist, and so place left hand down on the mat, sit tall so we have as much length along the spine as possible before we start the twist. Breathe in. As you exhale, draw into belly, draw the left shoulder back, turn towards the left. As you use your right hand to keep drawing the knee towards you. Position the knee and the hand in a way that works the best for your body. We're not adding tension or strain. Let's take one more breath cycle using the 3-part yogic breath. Starting with low, breathe in, middle, high, exhale completely. As you breathe in, turn to face forward once more. Uncross the leg, and then bring the left knee out to the left side. And we'll position for this forward fold. So see what the left knee may want. It may want propping, it may want the left foot to be further down the leg or further up the leg. See what feels the best to this leg and hip. And then we'll use the strap on the right foot. Bend the right knee, loop the strap around the ball of that foot. Each hand on the strap, or you can position both ends of the strap into your left hand. Level the shoulders and sit tall. You can use your right hand for grounding. Breathe in. As you exhale, lean forward. If you're already feeling a lot of sensation in the hips, no need to lean any further forward. If you're not feeling much sensation as you lean a little forward, lean a little more. So experiment with how deep you go, not based on what your mind is saying, but based on the signals you're getting from your body. And rest here in this intention of loving kindness. We'll take one more breath cycle with the 3-part breath. Breathing in, 2, 3. Breathing out, 2, 3. As you breathe in, lift the chest and release the strap from the foot. And we'll come now onto the back, where we'll continue to work with the left hip. Remove the props off to the side and keep your strap close at hand. We'll come onto the back. Position your body in a way that feels comfortable. You're welcome to keep the right knee bent as we work with the left leg, or you could straighten it. So we'll take the strap, bring your left knee towards the chest, and loop the strap around the ball of the left foot, and then stretch the foot up towards the ceiling, straightening the knee. But if the knee, as it straightens, creates any tension or strain, keep the knee bent. Right knee could be bent or straight. If it's straight, keep some energy down through the right leg as an active foundation by bringing the right toes pointing up. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears, broaden across the chest, and experiment with slowly guiding the left thigh towards you and away. Gentle movement. If you find a stretch that feels good, pause there. Breathe. Let's bring both ends of the strap in your left hand. Use your right hand to support keeping this right hip down and grounded. This is where, if you like, you could have the right foot on the mat and use this knee as a counterweight. As you breathe in, feel your grounding, and exhale, release the tension in the shoulders and the face. Then begin to bring the left leg out to the left side. You can use your right knee as a counterweight, or if your right leg is straight, you can bring your hand to the hip to encourage it to stay grounded. Breathe. If you wish, you could add the 3-part yogic breath here. With your next breath in, bring the left leg up Bend your right foot to place the knee in a bent position, and we'll bend the left knee to release the strap. You can take the strap off of the mat now and cross the left ankle over your right knee. Maybe adding slight movement, rocking with the pelvis from side to side or bringing the left knee toward you and away. Find a gentle movement that promotes ease. If you're not feeling much sensation and wish to increase that, you could bring your right knee towards you and deepen the stretch in the left hip. Perhaps adding movement from that position too. Find what feels good, and let's rest here for a couple more breath cycles. Come to the 3-part breath if you wish. Give yourself one more breath in and release. Bring both feet to the mat. And we'll use one of your blocks for bridge pose. So we're going to use the block in one of 2 ways. Both are optional, especially if you're not working with the block today. You still can come with us in bridge pose. If you do have a block, we can place it between the thighs, above the knees. Find the width that keeps the knees in line with the hips. And also have your heels as close to the hips as it feels comfortable to your knees and ankles. Keep the toes pointing forward and not outward, so creating neutral hip and legs. Giving the block a gentle squeeze, again, just enough to keep the block in place and to turn on these muscles around the hips to activate these muscles in a more active way. Bring hands down by your hips, and we'll start by pressing down through the feet and the shoulders and lift the hips. We're going to add a movement, so you may not with the block be lifting the hips to your most extreme back bend or the largest degree of extension, so let that be okay. We're working with the hips here mainly. So as you breathe in, feel the hips lifting, still keeping the block in place. As you exhale, let the hips lower maybe halfway. So let's do that with your breath. Breathe in and lift. Exhale and lower. Can you do a couple, 2 or 3 more? Stay with the breath. And when you exhale and hover the hips again, let's go ahead and lower the hips just long enough to release the block. And this is where, if you're using 2 blocks, you could keep that block in place and use a second block. Or you could use this block, and either way we'll lift the hips enough to place the block under the hips at the sacrum. So see what feels the best. If you want to remove this block between the knees, feel free to do that. From this supported bridge pose, you may simply want the sensation of ease in the hips, receiving the support of your block. If you would like to have this be a more active bridge, you can press down to the feet and lift the hips any bit further away from the block, and just use the block as your new home base. So you can move the hips up and down again, keeping the knees in line with hip bones and ankles and toes. Or if you wish, you could rest the hips on the block and move the legs in whatever way feels interesting. You can come back to one of our hip stretches, for example, or bringing the leg up or out. Find some movement or position of stillness that feels the most interesting, feels the most loving and kind to your body today. Exploring, giving yourself permission to experiment and explore. And also giving yourself permission to do much less. So that might mean coming out of bridge pose before I suggest it. Listen to your body. Let's take a few more breath cycles. Feel free to experiment with the 3-part yogic breath here if you wish, really using this openness of the front body to fill up completely as you breathe in, filling up the lungs, the side ribs, and releasing to your count of 3. We'll take a couple more breath cycles, adding whatever movement or stillness that you wish in the body. When you're ready, let's lift the hips enough to release the block under the hips and set the block aside. Set it aside so your hips can rest now. Gently bring one knee in towards the chest, and then the other one so that both knees are in towards your chest. And rest your hands on the legs in whatever way supports the stretch, giving you the most ease. If you wish, just like we began to practice, you could add movement with the knees or legs in any way that feels good to your body. Allow a couple more breath cycles. Place the feet on the mat and allow yourself to relax. Position your body in a way that promotes the most relaxation. You can straighten the legs or bring them into whatever position feels the best. Relax the muscles in the belly and around the hips. Close your eyes and settle in. Relax into this connection to something deep inside. Stay here for as long as you wish. Thank you. Namaste.